Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Westover and welcome to Accounted International. Today I'm joined by AK and we're going to talk about meetings. We all have meetings, some of them are good, some of them are bad, but today we're going to help you understand how to own your meeting and have a really good, efficient and effective meeting. So AK, why don't you kick us off?
Hi Natasha. So I would suggest, first and foremost, let's face it, we all have these meetings and there are far too many of them. Quite often you just look upon them as a drain on your time. So first and foremost, if you're arranging a meeting, the question I would ask is it really necessary? Can it be handled by a quick phone call to a couple of people? Can it be handled by an email exchange? Do you need to pull people in from other parts of the business when their time as well as your time is valuable? So be absolutely certain that a meeting is the best medium to discuss matters, because all it does otherwise is suck time and build resentment from people whose time you're stealing. And similarly, who do you need to attend? Don't feel that you have to invite the entire office to a meeting that isn't relevant to them. Cherry pick, the people that you need decisions from, or the people that you need information from. Don't just invite the lady on the switchboard because it will be interesting for her. Really, she's got enough to be getting on with without you pulling her out for 15-20 minutes into a meeting that she's not really interested in. Next up, once you know who you want there, have a very clear objective of what you want to get from the meeting. It might be that you need a decision. It might be that you're collating information. So have a tick list of what information you want to collect, and pull together an agenda, sort of a list of things that you want to discuss in order. So, absolutely, you might be working through a budget. So you might want to give a recap at the beginning of where you're up to, the information you require, and then have sections set aside for different attendees to contribute. It's just a good way of managing sort of progress through the meeting, and you can almost even set sort of time allocations to each agenda item so that you keep it really punchy. Excuse me. And then the next step, sorry, I'm looking at my notes quickly. The next is, make sure you have those points for discussion and allocate the time. And finally, I would suggest once you've gone through the meeting and had the discussions, collated your information, to identify actions that need to be taken. All too often you go into a meeting, everybody's, this is great, fantastic, yeah, brilliant, but nobody comes away with a definitive answer of what they need to do. So identify what tasks have come out of the meeting, and allocate them to a person, and give them a deadline as to when you want that information back by. That way, there's no ambiguity over what it is that has been agreed at the meeting. And then make sure once you've issued that action list that you follow up on it, and you make sure that people do deliver what you've agreed. And if they don't, then you have documentary evidence that it was agreed and that they really should put some priority behind it. What do you think, Tash?
I like the ending. You've got evidence to show that they were going to do something. I think it's really important. I must admit, when you were talking, I was thinking I'm always more at ease when when someone set an agenda for a meeting, because I'm like, oh, thank goodness they've actually thought about it, so we can probably go in there, hammer it out, get what we need out of that meeting and move on. When people just book an hour, and they book an hour because that's how it comes up in the calendar, I think, really have I got an hour? So I would say to people, think about how much time you need for your meeting. Don't just, I know like on my calendar, it naturally gives you like 15-minute blocks. And when someone books an hour, it's easy to expand into that hour. So think, can it be done in 45 minutes or half an hour? And especially if you're inviting people who are super busy, but like you were saying at the start, it's necessary, like the meeting is necessary, but it's also necessary to have them there because they're important to make the decision. And you mentioned about getting the decision makers there as well. So think about the easiest way to get in their calendar for them to say, yes, I'll come to the meeting. And maybe it's a half-hour meeting rather than an hour meeting. So think about how long the meeting really needs to be. And I would say I'm a massive one for language. So I would say that if the meeting is an hour, but you get through it in half an hour, make that clear to people in the meeting. Guys, we've done such a great job. We've got through the entire agenda. I can give you half an hour back of your time today. That's a really good language for people to go, oh yeah, and people, like, it lifts their spirits to go, oh, I got half an hour back to like go and do something else. So think about your language, because that's another way of actually navigating the meeting. And it's one thing you were saying about the agenda. Meetings, by and large, that I go to, everyone veers off the agenda. And once again, think about your language and think about phrases you can say that help get you back to the agenda. So I always give examples like, okay, AK, that's great. You raise a good point. It is worth exploring that, but I'm really keen to get through the agenda today. So we'll park it for now and we'll see if we've got time at the end of the meeting to come back to that. And then AK knows he's been heard, but also AK knows we're sticking to the agenda today. So yeah, let's get through it. Slap on the wrist for AK. But it's worth practicing it and thinking about the language and phrases you can use to do that, because lots of people get used to railroading other people's meetings. So you can expect that time and time again throughout your career. So think about how you, and using your personality, how you're going to put language around that to just get everyone back on track. The other thing about language is about, you mentioned when you were saying about, is it necessary? That's when you're thinking, what do we want to achieve in this meeting? And I always try to think about, what do we want to achieve? What is that outcome? And I try and phrase it in a one-liner that's almost like a pitch. And therefore, if someone bumps into me in the corridor, I can easily say to them, if I can feel they're trying to get out of coming to the meeting, I can use my one-liner, and then they know, yeah, it's quite a punchy one-liner, I know what we're doing, but also I can then quickly say, this is why it's important that you're there. And I use it throughout the meeting if I feel people are losing sight of why we're there, because meetings have different energy to them and a different pace. Some meetings are really energized, the pace is good, and you're hurtling towards that outcome. But other meetings can be quite boring, quite dull, low energy. And so you have to keep using this outcome one-liner to go, guys, this is why we're here. So we're doing this, and just getting everyone to refocus again. And the final thing I would say about running meetings is, don't be scared if senior management are there. It's just because someone's more senior than you, it's not their meeting. It's not their place to railroad it and take it in another direction. So you have to build your confidence here and try to put them very nicely back in their box and say, no, we're not doing that today. And, once again, talking about getting back to the agenda, don't be scared to do that to senior managers, because AK and I know that when you're at a senior level, you talk about how people manage meetings. It's one of the things we look at in progressing people and promoting people. And so if you've got the confidence to say, okay, thanks, AK, but let's just stick to this today because I want to get through it, AK will remember that when your name comes up in reviewing the team and working on different projects and who to send out to clients and stuff like that. AK will remember how well you ran that meeting and how you managed to even get the most senior people in the room to just stick to the agenda and how you guided it. And I'm sure you've got something to say on that, AK.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's very much so. As you go along, you do try and identify people that have those sort of interpersonal and time management and sort of just have those capabilities, and using a meeting with your peers to raise your status is an excellent way of demonstrating that you have those skills.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think people forget that senior management, especially, they talk about people all the time. So in that meeting, it's absolutely your opportunity to show people what you're made of. So I don't think I've got any other tips for now. Have you, AK?
No, absolutely. I think just remember to have that sort of agenda and make sure that you stick to it. Like you say, all too often you can have a health and safety meeting that drags on for far too long because nobody's really that excited by it. So keep it punchy, keep on track, and remember that it's your meeting.
You did really well there to find something that's probably a little bit more dry than accounting. Well done, health and safety. I mean, that is the line of this video, AK. Well done. So thanks, AK, and thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.